Welcome back to another episode of Practical Hot Rod. Previous episode showed how basically impossible it was to try and use the Focus RS seats in the back of the Escape. So today we're going to do something that hopefully I'm going to be a lot more successful at, and that's using the Recaro seats to replace the front seats. The plan is to remove the seats off of the base and put the Recaro seat onto this existing base. I'll have to replace the airbag in the side, but other than that, that's all there is to it. Obviously, there's going to be a ton of work that goes into this. I have a seat for the passenger side as well that has the side airbag blown. I'm going to get that repaired on Monday of next week. But today, I'm planning to try and remove the passenger seat and prep it for swapping the seat base over in anticipation of getting the new seat back repaired. And if that goes smooth, then I'll tackle a full swap of the driver's seat. That's what we're going to be doing today, so let's get to it. Again, these are the seats that I picked up off of eBay. I thought this was just a happy coincidence that this was in the back of the one of the pockets on the seats. Thought that was pretty appropriate with the eye patch. Anyway, as you can see, this is the passenger side. That side airbag is blown. I've got a local upholstery shop that's gonna sew that back together. Driver's seat is fully intact. Airbags look good. The seat backs are all in really good shape. There's one minor kind of spot that I'm gonna have the upholstery guy take a look at while he's doing the repairs. But like I said, the plan is the mounting points where the Focus attaches to the floor are different. Some guys have reused the existing mounts and had to modify how they attach to the floor of the Escape. But then the problem is that I think the sitting height is slightly different. I feel like the Focus seats are lower to the floor than the Escape seats are, and then probably have to raise them up. And then the other problem is the airbag connections and all that. Power movement of the motors is probably a little bit different. So rather than going through all that, if I just swap the seat base and upright over, it works out like a champ. So like I said, that's my plan. A lot of what I'm gonna be doing today as far as seat removal and things like that, Raw Rana on his channel has a pretty good how to remove seats. I'm gonna be referencing that as I go through it. I'll reiterate some of what he talks about there. I'll try and link his video in the description, but definitely check out his channel if you're into escapes. How to Escape is the name of his channel. And like I said, I'll be reusing some of what he has already filmed and put out there for us. So what I'm gonna do first is tip this back, take a look at everything, detach the passenger seat only for now. I'll just set the driver's seat to the side and may end up using the cargo area for some of my workspace because I've got drywall dust on every horizontal surface in here for the most part. And I don't want to get the seats filthy. There's the passenger or the rear bench seat that absolutely will not work, and I'm not going to be able to reskin the existing seats with those. So I'll have to figure something out. I'll probably offer that back up for sale and just have the upholsterer redo the back seats in something similar to what's on the fronts. Okay, following Raw Rana's video, I removed the side trim just to expose the panel. This is the side trim piece that I removed. Sorry, that's really zoomed in there. So I removed this off there, dropped it on the floor, and then removed the carpeted kind of floor piece there. There's two little push-on rivets right there that hold it onto the yellow kind of post that you see sticking down. That dropped down. And then he talks about using a T15 Torx to remove these two screws. In my case, there's one way back here, and then that one. They're actually 7mm is the socket size for that guy. So that's one difference. I'll get this removed, and then we'll get the glove box out of the way. Found another difference from Rana's video. In addition to the Torx inside, that mine was not, it was a 7mm. There's two bolts underneath the glove box that in his video, they were an 8mm, but no surprise for mine, they're a 10mm. And you can see the one right here, I've got it almost all the way out. And then the other one is on the end, kind of right there. So those are two 10mm. I'd already kind of loosened them up off camera. And those are the last two items that you need to do. Now you can pull the glove box forward, disconnect the light inside, and I'll have access to the fuse panel so I can disable the airbags. I'll do that so that the side airbag is safe to remove. I'll probably end up only doing the passenger seat today just based on time. And then I'll put that airbag back in that fuse before I button things back up. So I've got the driver's side airbag and everything else good to go. So just wanted to point out that other difference. And this wire, in case you're wondering what's going on there, I have a dash cam, and this is the power wire that goes to a tap that I currently have. Part of what I'm going to be doing in the future is I'm going to install a secondary fuse box with 6 circuits basically, and this is going to be one of those separate circuits, so I'm not piggybacking on an existing circuit, which I just don't like the way that runs. Anyway, let me get this glove box removed and I'll show you guys that. You just give the glove box a straight tug directly towards the seat, and you can see it came out. There's the wire for the light sitting here on top. And again, I'm not using a tripod, so I can't really do this, but on this near side is the clip. You're just gonna push that side in, and then this will disconnect. The bulb is currently out. My doors have been open enough that the car turned the lights off. So I'll be able to disconnect that, slide this out of the way, and then get to the fuse. All right, now we have unfettered access to the glove box, or behind the glove box. You can see the fuse panel here. One reason that you might want to do this outside of what I'm doing is in order to get to this number grid right there. If I did my homework right, that's going to be blurred out, but that's the 5-digit code that if you have the kind of the entry where you swipe along the side of your B panel, you can type in the number. That's where you can get the code if, like me, you bought the car used and they did not include it. So that's another nice thing about pulling this. So I'm going to be going into the user manual, making sure I've got the correct fuse. I'll pull that existing fuse, test it real quick with the key, make sure I get the airbag light, and then I'll go remove the negative terminal, and then I'll take out the seat. Now we're in the owner's manual. Like I said, this is a 2016. His video is a 2013, but the fuse is going to be the same. Looking for F86. It's this one right here, so 5th one down. If I turn the page one page, we'll see F86 10 amp fuse is the airbag module. So that's the one I'm going to be removing. Okay, so now we're going to put the key in. I'm not going to start the car, just turn it to here, and I'm expecting to see that airbag light remain on for about 30 seconds. So that tells me that the airbags are not functioning correctly, and at this point it's because the power's removed. Sorry for that annoying beep. Just making sure that that's going to stay on. Sorry, my CarPlay kicked in while I was filming. Thank you. So I had to redo that part. But again, just verifying that the airbag light remains on for about that good 30 seconds or so, which it has. So now I'll remove the key, remove the negative battery terminal post, and then I'll continue removing the seat. So I've got the passenger seat just tipped back onto this pallet and taking a look at the underside of the seat just so I can see what all I'm gonna have to do here. Again, we've got the existing wiring harness that I'll have to end up removing. There's, I believe, the pressure sensor. So we'll have a new one of those. This is already disconnected from the car originally, so that's a harness. Again, all of this bottom part is gonna stay behind. So I'll be removing all of this. I'll remove the seat mounts, the frame, all that to get just down to the base itself, but I have to disassemble all of this. Some of that will require a cutting wheel and a grinder to remove a few items. My plan is to not destroy anything. I'm gonna put the existing escape seats onto these bases, and not that I think anybody's gonna want escape seats that don't match any upholstery from that car, but at least this way I'll have backup seats if I need to go back to them. So that's just taking a look at what all is gonna have to come off. Again, the plan is to remove the base completely, separate just the seat from that, and then I can get to the seat back itself will come off separate, and that's all I'm gonna take to the upholsterer. So I think what I'm gonna do now is go ahead and start disassembling this seat. I'm sorry, I'm gonna take the other one out, lay it next to this, so I've got a side-by-side comparison as I go through the disassembly and swapping things over. Okay, I'm just taking the side panels off. So there's a T20 Torx screw right here. And then there was a second one that I accessed from underneath, and it held that part of the clip down. It was actually back. It'll be a little bit tricky to see if I can show that, but it was back. This clip is behind this little bracket, and it was held in place. So I took the two screws off, didn't want to come loose. So then the seat adjuster, you can literally just pull it straight out and it comes off. You can see it's got the spring clip there. And then I kind of wiggled this up and loose. And then the only other big thing that was holding it in place was this clip goes through that square hole. And then you can see that this bracket has a tab that points up and a tab that points sideways. And it goes into that groove there and behind here. And again, there's the hole where that other T20 screw goes into. So now this side panel can totally come off, and I'll set that aside. And now I can see a little bit better what I'm gonna be trying to do. So the upper seat is gonna attach with these two large Torx on both sides. And I'm hoping I'll be able to separate the back from the base by doing that. Obviously, there's several places where the interior is held in place. I'll remove all that. Again, all these clips and everything should be coming off completely and not staying with the car. So I'm gonna flip it over, do that other bracket trim piece. Now I've got it facing forward, so I'm on the left side of the passenger seat. This will be the part to the middle. There is no large plastic piece because this is up against the console. You can see here's where the seat belt will be removed. That'll help me get in there. I've got the same T20 Torx here, so I'm not sure what else is gonna hold it on. I may go ahead and remove this just so I can get easier access. But I think that may be all that's holding it, plus maybe a squeeze clamp inside. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove that, and then we'll see what it looks like. Took that T20 Torx off, and you can lift it up, and you can see it wants to come free, but there's something here, and what it looks like is this Torx has a mate on the other side over here. So I'm gonna remove this, and hopefully that'll separate, and then this piece will be able to come off, and I can get to the main attaching bolts. Yep, that's all it was. This one's a T25, and it just comes right out. So that's just threaded into the other side. It's like a nut attached to the other side of this metal panel right here on the side. So I'll set that over there, and I think now I'll hopefully be able to free the rest. Oh, there it goes. So there you can see that was what it was screwed into. Nothing too significant. So now I have all the side panel pieces off. And again, this is for the recline portion, and these two bolts should let me separate this. So I'm gonna go ahead and disconnect the upholstery for the back and then see if I can break loose those big heavy bolts. I just disconnected this clip. This strap was back behind it, so I had to disconnect the clip. Then I undid that one. And then this large clip with all of 2 wires in it. I did the same thing, disconnected this, and now this gives me access up into the back of the seat. We can see everything up inside here, and now that'll let me have the opportunity to go ahead and remove the seat base from the top. This one is a T50 Torx to get those 2 bolts out, and obviously they had some blue thread locker, so we'll have to secure those later. But now you can see, like, this seat back is actually moving relative to the seat frame. So now I'm gonna flip it over and do the same on the other side, and I should be able to separate the top portion from the bottom. Before I break these loose, I'm gonna go ahead and remove this additional piece of plastic. This is the screw that I removed to get the cover off. So I'll remove this one, and this has the exact same T25, I think it was, to loosen this, and then I can remove this additional plastic piece and only have the metal to deal with. So I'm gonna do that, and then I'm gonna break these guys loose and hopefully be able to completely separate the top from the bottom. I'm gonna have to check the wiring. This one may have had heated seats. I don't remember. So I wanna make sure all the wires are separated before I disconnect the top from the bottom. Yep, that's all it was. So disconnected the 2 screws there. That one threaded through right here with the same coarse threaded silver. Oops. And that one is, hang on, a T25. I don't know how well that's showing up. So that separates that one. And then once that was out, I was able to kind of push this up and then wiggle this out through underneath. And now that piece is out. And now, again, I have a little bit better unfettered access. A couple of the pieces of the trim were kind of tucked in around that last clip that I removed. And you can see this piece kind of goes down as well. I'll see where it ends up here in a minute. I'm wanting to try and keep track of that. But again, this whole airbag module is going to come out. That's what was blown in the accident. And I'll be putting the one from the escape in here so that when the upholstery shop sews it up, they're sewing it with the correct piece already installed, and I don't have to pull it back apart later. That's actually kind of a nice deal. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove these 2 and then see if we can separate it. And sure enough, as soon as I took that last seat or that last bolt, this part just kind of started to slide right off. So I think that's probably all structurally that's holding it in. Yeah, it's a really beefy bracket to support the seat back from this to keep it from going forward or backwards in the event of an accident. Those are pretty heavy duty bolts, Torx bolts, and then this is a very beefy mounting point. So I'm gonna go ahead and disconnect the wires, and I'll let you know if there are any other little snafus along the way. I know I'm gonna disconnect this because this obviously comes in from the top. Pretty sure that's for the airbag. So I'll disconnect that, and then I'll see if there are any others. Okay, so taking a look at this, here's the kind of the front of the seat, of the back portion that comes through. And you can see right here that it's held in place by this clip. Let's see if I can just, no, I'm gonna have to use both hands, but I'll pull that up and remove it. And what that's going to do is it's going to show me how this wiring harness is attached. There's a couple of clips, and I think they're just the metal or the plastic push clips, kind of not so reusable. They just push through 2 holes in the seat pan, and they're holding that in. Then I'll be able to take it out, uncover the tape here, and then disconnect things on the other side. There's the same thing. Got another wiring piece here that I'll be able to get better access to. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove this, pop those clips off, and then show you guys what it looks like. So rather than totally fighting with this, I started to pull the one clip, and I thought, hold on, why don't I just disconnect the wire from here? So I think I've said it before, if you haven't picked yourself up one of these little guys, you really should. They're fairly inexpensive. I have no idea what brand that is. Performance Tool, APS maybe, I don't know, APF. Anyway, I picked it up, I think at the local, like O'Reilly's or something like that. Might have got it off of Amazon, but it's super handy for pulling interior clips. And sure enough, these guys, they are kind of a squeeze, or not a squeeze, but it's got the ridges on it. I don't know how well that's showing up. So I just slid the tool in. I've got one left to do right here. So all you do, and this one's kind of hard because it's white on white, but you just kind of wiggle the tool underneath the clip portion of it. And this is probably the worst one to try and show you guys. And then you just kind of put it in place and kind of wiggle, 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 and it comes off just like that. So didn't destroy the clip, it's reusable, it's off. So now all the wiring bundles between the upper part of the seat and the lower are disconnected, and I'm pretty sure that's all it took. There you go. So now the top half is disconnected from the bottom. I will remove my passenger seat now, do the same thing, and then I can take the airbag module out of the passenger seat, swap it in, and then just take this portion to the upholsterer and have them fix it. So I'm gonna clean this all up, and then I'll get ready to remove the passenger seat. Okay, we're down in the footwell now. So the next step is to pop these two, oops, I'm gonna gouge the daylights out of it. See if I can pop it from the bottom here. There we go. Pop these off right here and right here. And then that'll give me easy access to the 15 millimeter bolt that holds the seat in place. So now I'm gonna get my Wheaties on because that's gonna be torqued in really tight. So I'm gonna remove those two, and then I'll move to the back and take the other two out. Okay, surprisingly, those weren't as horrible as I thought they would be. A longer extension than this would be nice, because with this on, I was bumping up against the plastic trim on both sides with my socket. So longer than the, what's that, a 3-inch would be useful. A nice long one. You still have plenty of room here, sorry, to get at it with the socket. So you can use maybe a 6-inch, stick 2-3 inches together, something like that. But that wasn't as bad as I was expecting. Now I'm gonna move over to the back. I'll use this to pop the other two covers and take off that one as well. For this, I'll slide the seat back forward. And that'll open up. It's this right here. So same as before, using just a little flat head to get in here and pop that open. I'll secure that clip with the others, and you can see that same 15 millimeter here. The one on the other side is going to probably be the little bit more problematic, but I'm gonna go ahead and get this one while I'm here. And here I'm in the back seat now. I had to remove my kind of knockoff rubberized floor mats. So right here you can see this is the opening where we're going to have to remove this last clip, and that'll give us access to the final bolt. And again, another 15 millimeter. The front and the rear are identical, so it's not like you got to keep the two separated. But yeah, these guys, they've got some heft to it, but it is possible. Like I said, I just did it with the one hand, and I'm not the Incredible Hulk. Captain America maybe, but not the Incredible Hulk. So we'll just remove this, and then once we've got it out, the seat will be able to lift up, disconnect the wire for the airbag, and then it's good. This is my Hideaway sub that I had a local stereo shop install. They did a great job. This thing makes an amazing difference in the sound. Again, I just had the basic sync system with the push buttons and the one big fat knob. Standard speakers. I don't have the rear components back here, just the standard indoor. I did replace the speakers all the way around, added this in with it's a powered sub, so the amp's integral to it. It's a Kicker 10-inch Hideaway. Oh my goodness, it makes such a big difference in the quality of the sound. Anyway, got distracted with that. Let me get the seat out of here, and then I'll show you the last of it. Got the last bolt out right here, and now you can see the seat is free to tip up. So now I'm going to go in there and disconnect the airbag wire, and then hopefully not totally misalign my subwoofer in the process. You can see this is the wire coming up through the floorboard. It goes up to the seat, and it's that big fat connector right there. There's like a pinching bracket right here that I just have to disconnect, and then this will release. I'll pop this right here with my kind of clip removing tool, and that should allow this clip to come out and then the seat to come free. All the communication for the airbag, for the occupant sensor, all those kind of things are running through this one bundle. So I'm going to go ahead and get that disconnected, and then we'll get the seat out. Okay, I know there's going to be some wicked shadows. I brought my kind of big area light. So I did the same as before. I used my super cool clip remover, and I took this clip from right there, and then I removed this clip from further back, and that let the whole thing drop down so that now I've got easier access to it. And you can see right there is the thing. So if you just kind of push right here, it just pops right open. And now you can just literally disconnect this thing almost one-handed. I probably could if I had a slightly better grip. But anyway, I'll finish disconnecting this, and then the seat should be able to just rotate up and out. It may be easier to remove it to the back than the front. I can, because it's a manual seat, I should be able to kind of fold it back closed and then pull it out through this seat, or even just kind of rotate. Oh my goodness, I am so sorry, guys. Rotate. I think I got it upside down now. Rotate it around that way. All right, let me stop disorienting you guys and get this done. There it is. Seat is removed. You can see the 4 mounting points. This guy's right here, ready to go, and that's ready for whenever I get it all put back together. So now I'm going to go and start to disassemble the seat. I'm going to clear my work area again and do the exact same process that I did to disconnect the upper portion from the lower on that guy. Just a quick glance, man, this looks incredibly similar to how the other one was connected. The same L bracket right here. So these trim pieces look like they're going to come off the same way. Here's this looks, yep, there's the 2 straps that go around. There's not even a clip on this side that I have to remove. So that's what I'll be doing here. Yeah, this looks like these pieces are going to come off almost exactly the same. I've kind of already documented that. I will highlight any differences in how they go that I find. But in the meantime, I'm just going to crank through this the same as I did before. I don't know how well this is going to show up, but there's one last clip. So after taking the screws out, I took this edge and I pushed it forward, and then I had to use a pair of needle nose pliers to squeeze this all the way together so I could get it out of that. And then most of this loosened up just fine, but there's this one last clip that is right here, and I wanted to be very careful that I didn't break it. So it's right at the end of the screwdriver there. Let me see if I can kind of zoom in a little bit closer. There you can see it. I don't want to break that little clip off because then it won't hold well next time around. So I'm gonna try and wiggle that guy loose without breaking it, and then I'll get this top piece off. Okay, that was crazy easy. I just literally moved it this way and it came right off. So I'm gonna remove this screw, this through screw, take this plastic piece off, and then I can knock these two out, flip it over, and I'll do the other trim piece on the other side. Again, knowing what I learned the last time around, I'm just gonna make sure I've got a good documentation of all of this, because I'm gonna have to put all this back together with the new seat. So this clip slides like that, and then you can pull it apart. And then, like I said, it is attached with that clip that I'll squeeze off using the removal tool. And I have to, because that's securing that. So this seat back won't come off until I disconnect that. But I'll go ahead and disconnect that. And then this is all it looks like staying with the seat base. So it looks like this guy for the airbag is all that goes up that way. Yeah, so I think that's all we need to do for that. Started loosening these guys. I'll get that done. Again, I've already got them basically undone completely. So I'll set them aside, pop this clip off, and then flip it over and do the other side. So I got the clip undone. I removed this strap from around it. Again, the clip there. There's another piece right there that I'm gonna disconnect. And then this is to the seat bottom here. It's integrated into the seat kind of spring, if you will, across that bottom. So the seat will be free to come off once I do that, and the bolts on the other side. Again, super encouraging. It actually came off pretty easily. Oh, there we go. Oh, hey, here's the base. Got that right there. That's what I'll be looking to switch over. And again, the seat back came off surprisingly easy. So I know the light's terrible right now. What I have to do is actually kind of peel the seat fabric up to get to the airbag. Again, if you're unsure which side, it's the one that says airbag. So I just have to open this up and kind of feel it in here. So I'm just gonna peel the seat fabric up so I can get to the airbag, remove it, and then be ready to go. So I think this may be some of the most useful part of this video. Again, the seat is face down. This is the side with the airbag headrest there. Again, the seat back. So flipping this little tab up, what you can see is where the front part of the seat kind of comes in and attaches with the back part. So there's like hooks right here. And it looks like you can just maybe sort of slide it sideways and come off, or just pull down while you pull down this way while you push that part up, and it may come off that way. I think that might be how it's designed. It's kind of hard to see. Again, I apologize for the light, but I'm gonna go ahead and disconnect this part so I can open the seat back up, and I'll explain how that part comes together. So I'm trying to be really careful here so that I don't damage anything. But what you can see is that the side of this, there is a little lip inside, and there's a little lip here. So what I was able to do is I just took the whole seat and I was able to slide it far enough that this clip kind of came up in between these two, and the one on the end slid off. Well, that's great, but it didn't get the middle piece off, and there's no way to slide it. So I'm gonna have to kind of separate the clips, and I'm gonna do that carefully so I don't break it, and then I'll be able to get up into the seat back and start to remove the upper kind of material to expose the airbag. Ended up being really super easy. All I did was I took my little screwdriver and I just slid it right into the end opening and just kind of tried to separate this first edge. And then kind of once I had that part actually disconnected and the clips free, I just kind of slid the screwdriver down and it unzipped a Ziploc bag. It was super easy. So you just got to be slow and diligent. Again, doing this one-handed, I'm not gonna rush it because I don't want to break it. But again, you just get that first lip loose, and then it just totally came off. I actually put it back together to try and show you that one-handed. Couldn't quite get it, but I'll disconnect it again so you can see what it looks like. So there it is, disconnected. Bottom part's open, so it kind of flops down. You can get pretty good eye for what's going on here. So again, here is the airbag wire. You can see there's one of those clips there, and then it's gonna go up and it transitions inside because, again, what we're gonna see is, I can't quite open it far enough, but right here is the opening for the airbag. So I don't have to take it up, but to about right here. So again, I'm gonna carefully raise this up from both sides, just kind of working my way up and rolling it backwards, just going nice and slow. Obviously, there's some areas where the foam is inside the cushion, so you want to carefully disconnect the foam from these little straps that are holding onto it, and that'll allow the seat foam to stay in place as you raise the cushion. So I'm gonna do that nice and slow. You can see this Velcro right here. This is gonna be the tricky part because you don't wanna pull that Velcro off from the cushion. And that's gonna be the case with the new seat as well. See, like here, I guess I got a little aggressive and that foam, the Velcro got separated from the foam. So I'm just gonna use my hand here to make sure that that doesn't happen again. And that gets me basically all the way up inside the seat. And because this is the part that pulls around and clips, I'm not too worried about that little portion there. That's not gonna cause the seat to not stay firmly attached. So again, I'm gonna go off camera and we'll roll that up, and then I'll show you what it looks like once I get down to the airbag module. So here you can see that's about how far up I have to come to start to expose the airbag module. Again, it's not that far up. Just go nice and slow, rolling from both sides. I did take the headrest off just to give myself the ability to flip it upside down and put this up and then just work nice and slow. So I'm gonna finish opening this last little bit so I can remove the airbag module. Okay, again, still crappy light because it is totally dark out here. But what you see here is I've got the seat upholstery rolled up as far as I can, tied into the upholstery itself. There's basically this pocket, and it's got this different kind of material, kind of a mesh. And here's the airbag module itself. I can kind of reach in and sort of pull it up, and this is the bag that will deploy in the event of an accident. And then inside, what you can see is there is the wiring. There's that wire that's right here. It goes through the seat, comes in right there. And then what I'm trying to find is how is this, I'm assuming that's the part that deploys the airbag that has the charge inside. How is it attached to the seat itself? Feeling around on the inside, underneath, and I think that's where I've got to make some connections, disconnect, and then that'll allow me to remove all of this in one kind of spot. So I'm gonna flip it over and take a look on the back side to see how I can disconnect that assembly. Okay, I've got it now face down again. Here's that mesh that I was talking about. So I'm gonna get a little bit more. I'm gonna undo this clip that runs vertically up this. Again, that's just holding kind of the seat pocket because we're looking at the back side of the seat. So that gets that a little bit looser. Now I can see the entire kind of mesh part here, right? This green, that's just a part of the spring system that kind of holds it all in place. And what I can see now is there's a clip, one of these clips like this right here that I'll need to disconnect. And then there's the hole that the wire goes into. I need to remove or disconnect this kind of clip right here. I think it's similar to what this was connected with, just a kind of the two pieces clip over top of each other. And again, they're just stitched in place here. And I can see there's a bolt right in there. I don't know how well you can see that, but right up inside there is a bolt that I'm gonna have to remove, and I think that's all that's holding this guy in place. Yeah, there's another one right there. So there's two bolts, through bolts right there. So I'm gonna disconnect this clip, and then I'll be able to go ahead and get to those bolts a little bit easier. But a lot of this is proving a lot easier than I thought it was gonna. So you can see how this clip just kind of lines up. All I did was put my fingers on both ends like this, and I just pushed this part up while I pulled that part down, and it totally just popped right off. So now I've got much clearer access, and now you can see, oh, it is just the two bolts. I'll remove those two bolts, and now by releasing this, I'm gonna have a lot better access through this pouch up top, because this literally, there's the airbag module right there. So this is really just a pouch holding it in place. So removing those two bolts, and this whole thing should slide right out now outside of this little pocket. So I'm gonna see what size those are. My guess is 10 millimeter, and then I'll get my long socket and we'll get this off. I guessed correctly, it is a 10 millimeter. I've got that one almost all the way off. And then as soon as I started loosening this one, the whole assembly started to move a little bit. So I'm gonna finish getting these two off, and then I've got to disconnect that clip still, and then this whole thing will come out. I probably need to undo the electrical connection inside there so I can pull that part back out through the hole this way. I'm not convinced that's gonna fit through that hole right there, so I need to take the wire out through the other side. So for that, I just need to, you probably can't see it, but I just need to disconnect that clip on the bottom side of that kind of shell, if you will. I was able to get that clip undone, but it was not fun. I had to smash my finger in there pretty good. Still need to remove this one here, and then this cable will be loose, and then I'm gonna go around to the other side, and I've got the two nuts completely off. So you can see that. So this whole assembly just kind of pushes out, but I need to disconnect the wire before I can bring it out. So I'm gonna disconnect this, pop the wire on the other side, and remove that assembly. I've got the wires all disconnected. I'm just kind of lifting it up. You can kind of hear the threads, and now it's free. This is the only thing holding it in place. And now I can pull the whole airbag module out. There's the screws. Again, there's the charge. And now all I have to do is disconnect this and then push it back down through that, and I can remove this assembly and take it to the other seat. So again, just being careful on how this connector is attached. Looks like there's a little clip, that little yellow kind of piece on each side. I'm gonna squeeze that in, and that should allow the connection to come off. So we'll do that next. All right, I just spent a lot of time Googling and searching YouTube videos on how to disconnect this, because I just don't want it to get damaged, and couldn't find anything. So I figured, hey, I looked all over. I thought these little side clips might push in either the yellow one or the black one. Turns out it's neither. You can see there's a little slot right there in that orange part. So all you have to do, sorry for the shadow, stick a screwdriver, a small one in there, and you're just gonna pop that yellow piece or that orange piece back. And once you have that fully extended, you just pull and it comes off. So you can see the wire holes, and it's set so that it can only go in one way. So now this is completely detached and ready to go into the new one. And now all I have to do here is lower this down, and that fits through the hole. And now I have my airbag wiring. So that's all it was. So now this seat I'm going to set aside, and I'm going to bring that one over and swap the module. So this again is the new seats, obviously used seats, that had the passenger airbag deploy. So again, looks like an identical connector between the two. So that's pretty encouraging. Maybe I won't need to change as much of the seat base as I was worried about. I think I'm gonna still need to change it based on the positioning and all that. But you can see here's kind of that mesh sleeve that was wrapped around the other one, and that's pretty well gone. Same connector here, and then the bag itself. So I'm going to end up doing the same thing, and happy discovery. This does have the heated seats, so that's kind of nice. So I just have to be really careful right in this area, because that's where the Velcro is going to be. And with the seat being the way it is, with these kind of lines, I guess, body lines, this is going to be very easy to rip that Velcro out, and obviously you want to keep that part in, or the whole thing's just going to pull away from the seat. So I'm going to very carefully remove this so I can get to, from the backside, the bolts, and I can replace that. So I very carefully removed this first part of Velcro from the kind of the blue-green stripe down there like you saw on the other seat. So I just kind of pushed my fingers down and sort of wiggled it and just got it through the Velcro, and then I held the bottom down while I separated the top all the way across. Now there's a stiff kind of almost like a metal clip that runs all the way up the length here, and it's actually held in place by some clips from the back side. So again, not sure how well this is going to show up on the tape, but if I push it over to the side, you can kind of make out the clip is right there, and it grabs it from both sides. So what I think I'm going to be able to do is, just using a screwdriver, go down from this side and pop the clip up, and then I think I'll be able to lift this up, and that'll get this part free, and then I think that part free. I'm also going to flip it over and try and look in from the back side and see if there's a way to release those clips from the back, but that should allow this front part to then come up. Obviously this part was damaged. This will all be kind of sewn back together, so this will all be intact. So that piece will be secured, obviously, with the rest of this, like it is on this side, which actually makes it a little bit more challenging to remove. And if I don't have to remove it all the way, that's great. I'm just going to remove enough to replace this airbag module. So I'm going to flip it over and see what I've got on the back side. Okay, yeah, I'm done working on the front side. This is super easy. Right there are the two bolts. This will be a very much easier task than it was on the other, thanks to that side being blown out. If that side wasn't blown out, this would be much more difficult. But I'm gonna go ahead and remove those two 10mm bolts, attach the new one, reroute the wiring clip here, I'm gonna have to pop this off so I can route the wiring in there. Obviously the secondary wires for here are gonna be most likely just for the heating elements, which I may or may not be able to use as they are, but we'll see. But in the meantime, I'm gonna go ahead and get the airbag module swapped over. So here is the blown airbag module. Just toss that over there. And then again, we've got the exact same connectors. And I think this is my saving grace. Because that connector is the exact same, I don't have to redo this wiring bundle. I can just leave it all in place and just hook this into the new one. Theoretically, this is a slightly different shape than the deployed one because the side of the escape is slightly different than the focus. My guess is the difference in the connector is what this plugs into in the base and how that connects to the car. That's probably where the difference is going to be. So I'm going to reuse the existing wiring so I don't have to pull all this portion apart right here, which is kind of tied into this, and I think that'll simplify my life. And then I can just button it back up and take it to the upholsterer. There it is. New airbag module is installed. Obviously, one of the things that happened with the original airbag deployment is this part of the seat cushion used to be attached. So I'm gonna talk to the upholsterer and see what he recommends to kind of pull that back together so that we keep it there. But the airbag itself fits inside the opening. Now the original one had that sleeve that was part of the kind of the flap of material. Obviously I'm missing that sleeve that was around it, but this black sleeve actually serves that purpose as well and kind of holds the bag rolled up and in place so that when it deploys, it'll come right through. The upholsterer is going to use an appropriate stitching that the airbag's not going to be prevented from coming out at full speed. Obviously, I'm assuming some risk there, and I'm assuming that, not the upholsterer. The good news is I don't carry passengers a ton in my car, so hopefully I'll never be in a wreck, but if I am, hopefully I won't have a passenger, and if I do, this should still function exactly the way it should. Anyway, that's kind of it. I'm gonna button this back up and get it to where I can drive the car to work tomorrow. And then I'm dropping this off Friday for them to do the repair on Monday. And the next video will hopefully be me with a new seat, switching the bases over to get these installed into the car. So I'm glad I started with this one. This one was easy. The driver's seat is gonna be a booger to roll it up enough to get to that. I may, again, kind of practice on the back side of this, releasing that post that runs up and down on the inside. But in the meantime, that's how you get it open. Really easy if you already have the side available with the airbag deployed to replace that very simply with a new one. All right, thanks for joining in, and we'll see you next time on the Practical Hot Rod.